All right, so let's talk about picking a cash cow niche. All right, so first of all, we got to go over the basics. So I'm going to go over this flow chart and exactly how to really dial in your cash cow niche. But first, we have to go over the basics, right? So this is important that everybody understands. Some of this stuff you guys are going to get, a lot of it you probably have forgotten or you don't understand it yet. So what is a niche? A niche is I help X solve Y by Z. So X is a specific group of people. Y is a specific problem that these people in the group have in common. And then Z is a specific mechanism for solving this problem. Sometimes the mechanism is either modified or left out completely in the marketing message. This depends on the sophistication of your market. Sometimes you basically can just say, I help X solve Y, and you just leave out the Z, or in some cases you put something for the Z, but it's something that they haven't heard of before, or something along those lines, because the Z really doesn't matter, right? The mechanism itself in terms of the marketing really doesn't matter. All that really matters is you help them get this outcome that they want, right? That's all that really matters. And let's say you do Facebook ads, for instance. If they've already bought stuff for Facebook ads before, chances are, if they didn't get results, the person they were working with sucked. But they're going to think that you're going to suck as well because they're like, oh, I've already tried Facebook ads, right? I've already tried that. So in some cases, you want to modify the Z, but we're not going to get too deep into that this time. Typically, these are going to fall under one of these three categories: health, wealth, and relationships. Okay, so the three core markets are health, wealth, and relationships. Sometimes relationships can also be kind of tied in with happiness. And almost all big offers that make a ton of money are going to fall under one of these three categories, right? Health, for instance, people trying to get in shape, people trying to eat better, people curing brain fog. I saw a really good offer the other day. It was like, I help entrepreneurs cure their brain fog and their basically their problems that they have with inflammation. Really cool offer. Wealth, very common. Everyone knows about that. Relationships, get a girlfriend, get your ex back, whatever. Make friends, be good at networking, that kind of thing, right? Now let's talk about a cash cow niche, because this is one step further. A cash cow niche has all of this stuff, but it goes one step further. So a cash cow niche has the 4 R's. And these are, you need to solve real problems with a real solution for real people that have real money. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, real problems mean a painful problem that a group of people have in common. So this isn't just a slightly annoying, nagging little problem that you're solving for a bunch of different people. You're solving a super painful, super big problem for a group of people, and they all have that, or many of them have that problem in common. Okay? A real solution equals a solution to the problem that they have to actually that actually works. Okay, it actually works, and it works fast, and basically it takes as little time and effort and output from them as possible. Okay, because as we're going to go over in a moment, you're going to be targeting people that are money rich and time poor. So they don't have a lot of time and energy, but they have money. Those are the types of people you're typically going to be targeting with a cash cow niche. There are exceptions, but that's the easiest market to target. So you basically want to get as close to hitting an easy button as humanly possible. So they have a problem, they hit the easy button, and the problem is solved. That's basically what you're going to be aiming for. You want to get as close to that as you possibly can. And then real people equals a specific group of people that is easily identified by their demographics, or even better, psychographics. So demographics are things that you can easily see about a person, their location, what kind of job they have, how much money they make, their ethnicity, their country they're from, the state they're from, that kind of thing, whether they're male or female, that kind of thing, right? Psychographics are things that it's not easily seen about people. And honestly, out of the two, psychographics are more powerful. And let me show you why. Someone who's really, really good when it comes to understanding their psychographics is Iman Gadzhi. So this guy will make content about all kinds of different things. So you can kind of see some of his best content is watch collection. So keep in mind, this guy sells a course on how to start an SMMA, right? So a social media marketing agency. What the hell does that have to do with a watch collection? What the heck does having a jet have to do with selling an SMMA, right? What does productivity have to do with an SMMA? What does supercars have to do with SMMA? What about who cares if he bought his mom a $4 million house? What does that have to do with SMMA? Monk mode. What does that have to do with SMMA? Et cetera, et cetera. Well, he understands the psychographics of his audience on a deep, deep level. And all of these things are things that his audience is very likely to also be interested in. Or if they're interested in those things, they're very likely to also be interested in SMMA. Okay. And so that's his top of funnel content that basically gets people to see his SMMA content, which is absolutely brilliant. So he has a deep, deep understanding of his audience psychographics. And these people typically are known to spend money to solve this exact problem or similar problems. And it's common for them to do it, and therefore you don't have to guess if the niche will work or not. So you basically have what's known as proof of concept that these people are willing to spend money on that exact niche, that exact problem, or similar ones. And this just takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. You know, a lot of people think that competition is a bad thing, and I completely disagree. Competition is an amazing thing because of the fact that if other people are selling the same product and services, that means that there is a real problem out there that they are solving. If you see other people successfully selling these products and services, that means that there's a real problem out there that needs solving. Okay. So real money equals people that are cash rich and time poor. So people that actually have the money to spend on their problems. No brokies allowed. Okay. Seriously. I don't know if, maybe you've sold to brokies, maybe you haven't, but selling to brokies sucks. Okay. So no brokies allowed. I'll give an example of someone that I recently looked over their profile and worked with them. He was a dating coach and he tries to cater to successful men. So he's trying to sell to successful men, but all of his marketing was like borderline, I don't know if I can say that, as prawn, right? Borderline prawn on his Instagram. Okay. So that's going to attract brokies. Brokies are attracted by things like that, right? Successful men are not, that's not what they want. They want a classy woman, right? So, I see this mistake all the time. People, thinking that they're marketing to successful people, but their marketing is really bad and they're just doing it all wrong. So real money, real people that have cash, but they're time poor, people that actually have money to spend on their problems. And most of the time you will be selling high ticket unless it's a mass market offer. And in most cases with a mass market offer, you'll still be selling high ticket, but there are some cases where you can sell lower medium ticket with a mass market offer and you can make it work. That Iman Gadzhi does that, for instance, and he makes it work. But honestly, guys, 99% of you would be better off just selling high ticket. Okay. There's very, very rare situations where it's better to sell low ticket. And if you guys don't believe me, I actually compiled a bunch of data on this. I actually went back. This took me like 100 hours to do. And I watched income reports and podcast episodes on a bunch of different YouTubers where they talk about how much they make. And you can see this is the most important right here. Total revenue per 1,000 views. So meet Kevin, for instance, he makes $2 million a month. He sells a $1,000 medium ticket or several different around $1,000 medium ticket products. Gets 20 million views a month at the time of this podcast was recorded. He's making about $96 per 1,000 views, right? Compare that to someone like Charlie Morgan or Boyd Cluess. He sells like a $17,000 high ticket product, helping people become cybersecurity, PCI compliance experts. And he gets 164K per view, 164K views per month and he makes $1.5 million a month, guys, with 164,000 views. That's $9,000 per 1,000 views, right? And you can just go down this list and look at these. If you want to pause the video, you can. You can look at these, and you'll see the people who sell high ticket don't have to get nearly as many views, so it's much easier for them to grow. They don't have to make mass market content, which typically if you make mass market content, it has to be really well edited, whereas if you make niche content, it doesn't have to be well edited. You can just make super raw, authentic videos and you'll do fine. And you can see everybody who's selling high ticket is crushing it when it comes to the total revenue per 1,000 views. Even the ones who sell high ticket, but they make mass market content are still doing extremely well, like $500 per 1,000 views, which is a heck of a lot more than $96, right? So that's not really part of the video, but just in case you don't believe me, that it's better to sell high ticket, that's proof for you right there. So if you have these 4 R's locked in, you have a cash cow niche, right? That's super important to understand. Now let's go ahead and go back to the board and let's talk about this. So the basics, I help X do Y by Z, selecting your niche on YouTube in 2024. Here are 3 niching strategies you must establish before launching your YouTube brand. So you can go ahead and just steal my process here. First of all, you want to pick something that you can be the absolute best at in the world. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that you're the most skilled in the world, because being the best doesn't necessarily mean you're the most skilled. And let me explain. It is best if you position yourself as an expert, if you actually are an expert. You are going to make more sales if you position yourself as an expert. But what a lot of people do is they know they're not an expert, they position themselves as an expert, and they basically try to fake it before they make it, okay? And this is not a great strategy, because chances are people are going to recognize you don't know what you're talking about, people who know what they're doing a little bit, and you basically just ruin your reputation at that point. Okay, so instead, what you can do is you can position yourself as kind of a learner, or, you know, basically kind of an enthusiast. So you're someone who's very enthusiastic, very passionate about the subject, and you're learning it, you're getting better at it, and you're just documenting your process. You're documenting the process of getting better at that subject that you're trying to get better at. Very similar to how Iman Gadzhi did it in his early days, like 7 years ago or something. He started documenting his progress when he was a 15-year-old entrepreneur or something like that. And he documented every step of the way. And this is just really, really inspiring to people. And you won't have as many people that want to work for you and pay you those high ticket prices. But with that being said, you will still have people that want to do that, because in order to teach somebody, to be honest, you only have to be a few steps ahead of them. So I'll just give you guys an example. I like playing chess, and there are some like really, really good chess players. He like Hikaru Nakamura, right? He makes content, and he is one of the top 5 best chess players in the world. And honestly, I can't learn much from him, because his chess is on such a high level that it just goes over my head. Like, I can't really learn much from him. But you know who I can learn a lot from? Guys like Gotham Chess. Now, Hikaru's rating is like 2,800 or something. Gotham Chess's rating, I think, is like 2,300. So he's still really good, but he's not like a super top level, best in the world type of chess player. But that's totally fine. He makes learning chess fun. He tells stories. He's great at teaching it. And I learn a lot more from someone like Gotham Chess than I do from someone like Hikaru Nakamura, right? So he positioned himself kind of as an enthusiast or a learner, and he's just kind of documenting his journey as he tries to become a grandmaster. And that is just, honestly, it's in many ways, it's actually easier to get views if you position yourself that way, because everybody's trying to position themselves as an expert, even though most of them are not experts. And so, yes, you're not going to get as many sales if you position yourself as a learner or enthusiast, but you're still going to get sales, because there's people that are, you know, a little bit behind you, and they're willing to spend money to get to your level or get close to your level. And you're just a few steps ahead of them. And in many ways, you're much more relatable to them, right? So you can be Gotham Chess might be the best chess teacher in the world for people who are at a certain chess level, even though he's not the best in the world at it. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So you want to be the absolute best in the world at what you do, but that doesn't mean you have to be the most skilled in the world at what you do. I hope that makes sense. So for instance, you want to niche down to the point where you're the king of whatever pond that you live in. Even if you have to niche down that far, it's better to be the king of a pond than to be like a tiny little tadpole in an ocean. Okay, much better. And then you want to, go from the pond to maybe like a small lake, right? Okay, then be the king of that lake. Then you can expand out, go from the lake to a river, be the king of the river. Then you can expand out, go from a river to the ocean basin, be the king of your ocean basin. Then go from an ocean basin to the entire ocean, be the king of the ocean, right? But you want to start off very niched down. It's very important that you do this. And if you go back and you look at any big YouTubers, when they started off, they were almost always extremely niched down. They were the king of the subject that they were teaching. So if you look at even Ali Abdaal, for instance, he is huge on YouTube now. He's got 5.3 million subscribers. Hopefully he hasn't deleted his old videos. But when he first started getting really serious about YouTube, the only thing he covered was a very specific exam that I think doctors take in Great Britain. So how niche is that? It's a specific exam that only doctors take, or people who want to become doctors, and they only take it in one country, as far as I know. Okay, that is extremely specific. And look how many videos he made about this, right? He made a bunch of videos about that. And then he niched out a little bit. Once he was the king of that pond, he niched out and he started making videos about other things that are somewhat related, like Children's Surgical Center. And, he went back to that. Let's see. Medics making an app. So apps that are related to the medical field. And medical electives. Going to school at Cambridge for your specific, medical student audience, right? So now he's talking to medical students. So now he's gone out to maybe like a river. And then, after a while, he started, after he did a ton of stuff on that, he started talking about productivity. After many, many months of talking about exams and stuff like that, there you go. He starts talking about study tips. Okay, so he starts talking about how to study. And then after talking about studying for a while, now he's in the ocean basin. Then he expanded out to just general like self-help and development, like maybe, productivity and self-help stuff. So my favorite iPhone XS apps, iPad Pro review, study with me, how I ranked first at Cambridge University. These things that are much more tailored to a more general audience. So, how I use my iPad Pro, my favorite books, how I manage my time. These are much more general audience, but he started off very niche, guys. That's the point. It's so important that you start off niche and be the king, be the absolute best at what you do in that particular niche. Okay, so now let's talk about how to position yourself. Let's go a little bit deeper on this. So there's 3 ways you can position yourself: as an expert, an enthusiast, or a learner. So expert is the way that most people recommend you position yourself. And if you can position yourself as an expert, you should. And if you're not confident at your expertise level, you need to niche down until you are confident. So Alex Hormozi has some great examples of this. You might not be the best salesman in the world, but maybe you can make a course on being the best salesman for pest control. Okay, so maybe you're the best pest control salesman in the world, but maybe you're still not confident about that. Or maybe the best pest control salesman teacher in the world. Okay, how about being the best pest control salesman productivity expert so that you can manage all of your leads effectively, and you show them how to set up a CRM so that they manage their leads effectively, right? Maybe you're really good at that, or maybe you can become very good at that and you can be an expert on that very quickly, right? You see what I mean? Like niche down until you are an expert at that thing that you're talking about, and then you can always expand later on. Or you can position yourself as an enthusiast, and this is where you're pretty good at whatever you're talking about, but you probably aren't world class yet. And you can make up for this by just being extremely passionate about what you do and making learning fun. So the example there again is Gotham Chess. Gotham Chess is a great example of an enthusiast. Really fun guy to watch, really easy to learn chess from him. He is quite good at chess, but he's not like world class good. He's not a grandmaster, for instance, or a super grandmaster. And so he positions himself as, being just a very fun and, making it fun, being very passionate about chess. And basically, in this case, you'd aim your content for 50 to 80% educational and 20 to 50% entertainment. If you are a learner, you can aim your content. If you're an expert, you aim your content to being more like 80 to 100% educational and 0 to 20% entertainment. And then if you're a learner, you can actually really go more on the entertainment side and basically just share your journey. So let's say, for instance, Iman Gadzhi, if you look at his channel way back in the day, he originally positioned himself as a learner. And so I don't know if he's deleted this stuff, but, he was talking about bodybuilding. He was talking about all this kind of stuff. And then eventually he started talking about more, business related stuff like new camera. He's probably talking about, maybe recording some business related stuff here. Let's see. Talking about committing to taking videos. Friends are holding you back. So he's talking about more general content there. Okay, he talks about how he dropped out of high school at 17 so he can pursue entrepreneurship. Talking about getting his money, right? So he's basically just sharing the journey. He's not some 17-year-old or 16-year-old that's like, guys, I'm making 100K per month, and he's just faking it before he's making it because he made, I don't know, $500 or $500 in a few hours of work, and then he just extrapolates that out to 100K per month or something. So he's not doing that kind of shit, right? He is documenting his journey here. He's positioning himself as a learner. And now, of course, years later, he is an expert, right, on what he talks about. He's very good at what he talks about, so he doesn't have to position himself as a learner anymore. But it's just very refreshing when people position themselves this way and they share their journey. This is very common on Twitter as well for people to do this. And it's just so much more refreshing than acting like you're an expert when you really aren't, because it's really obvious to other people who are actually smart that you're not an expert. Okay, so it's extremely refreshing. And sometimes people will actually buy stuff from learners instead of experts because they relate to them more. They're so much more relatable. They're a few steps ahead of them. And so they can, buy their services, buy their coaching, and get a few steps very quickly into the future. And sometimes it's easier to learn from other learners or people who are basically enthusiasts than it is to learn from experts, because experts are like so far ahead that sometimes they even just assume that people know the basics when they don't. And so these are 3 different ways you can position yourself. And you can do this if you're a few steps ahead of a total beginner at whatever subject you're talking about. And you can aim for content that's 20 to 50% educational and 50 to 80% entertainment. Okay, now there's a few different types of hybrids that you can go for. So for instance, there's the expert enthusiast hybrid roadmap. And this is where you get the positives of being an expert and also the positives of being an enthusiast without any of the downsides. So the positives of being an expert are basically that people take you seriously. Like, people know that you're really, really good at whatever you do. But the problem that a lot of experts have is they're actually either pretty boring the way that they present their content, or in some cases, they come across as being extremely arrogant, and people don't like that. And so you can position yourself as an expert enthusiast hybrid so that you have all those upsides where you're an expert, you know your stuff, but at the same time, you're not very boring, right? So this is basically how you do that. You can sell a high ticket product to your audience. This is recommended even if you're an enthusiast, and people are inspired by your content and look up to you as their role model. and someone who isn't constantly just talking down to them in videos, right? And this is a great way to position yourself. If anything, you should position yourself this way if possible. This is the best of both worlds. Another way you can do this if you are a learner is to just be a really enthusiastic learner. People love that passion and that enthusiasm that people have when they're trying to learn something. And so if you're talking about a subject you're a learner in, position yourself as an enthusiastic learner. Okay. Now, generally speaking, most people I talk to, it's better to niche down enough to where you can actually just position yourself as an expert or an expert enthusiast. But if you truly are a beginner and you don't have any skills, which a lot of people think they are, but in reality, they actually do have skills, they just don't realize it, then you can position yourself as an an enthusiast learner hybrid. So what's the catch? This is typically best if you're selling a high ticket product. So 3,000 or above, and a coaching program, for instance, like Charlie Morgan on YouTube. Okay. So let's talk about broad versus niche topics. So Nomad Capitalist is somebody who broadly targets people that are tired of corruption within governments and overtaxing. If you don't know who he has a pretty cool YouTube channel. And he basically sells a service to 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs that want to save money on taxes. He helps them to create offshore businesses that save money on taxes. So obviously that is extremely niche, right? Extremely niche to be targeting that audience. And these are 7 and 8 figure business owners, not very many of those out there. And he basically helps them to lower taxes by various different methods, usually including moving their business overseas. And he makes both broad and niche content at the same time. So he actually has a hybrid of both. He makes broad content that gets people's attentions, right? So the U.S. has planned to kill second citizenship. Canadians are fleeing with their wealth. As you can see, there's probably tons of people that are watching this that are not 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs and business owners, but he gets access to more 7 and 8 figure entrepreneurs and business owners because of the reach that this video gets. So he is both broad and niche at the same time. Now, you have to have a really good qualification process if you decide to do this, because you're going to get a ton of people trying to book calls that are not qualified. So you really have to dial in your qualification process if you do that. Another person who does this really well is Alex Hormozi. So Alex Hormozi invests in businesses that are making $3 million plus a year, and he gets them to over $10 million a year. So that's his niche, right? He says that he doesn't sell anything, but that's not true. He actually does sell something. He sells his investment. He actually invests in businesses and he partners with them. And so extremely niche, again, like not many people are making $3 to $10 million a year. And yet he makes broad mass market content, right? Anybody who's interested in making money, essentially. And most of these people are not fit for his service and that he offers. Most people are just not a good fit for it. But the people who are a good fit are likely interested in watching these videos. So he attracts a broad market of people, but in attracting that broad market of people, he attracts more people who are actually potentially a good fit for his service, if that makes sense. Now, Serge Guattari, for instance, this is an example of somebody who basically targets a very niche audience. So Serge Guattari, extremely niche audience. He basically targets like SMMA owners that want to make more money by acquiring more clients, essentially. Like that's the main target market that he has. I think he also works with coaches as well. But again, relatively niche. They're solving a very specific problem for a very specific type of person, and that's pretty niche. And basically, you want to position yourself as one of these three during the start of your journey, and it's extremely important for your YouTube channel success. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know, guys. I know this was a longer video, but this is extremely important stuff. Honestly, guys, this is like 50% of the equation. If you get your niche down, if you get the right niche down, everything else is going to be so much easier for you. And if you choose the wrong niche, everything is going to be insanely hard for you. I've seen people who are insanely skilled at YouTube who choose the wrong niche, and they select, they pick the right videos. They make great thumbnails, titles, intros. They have great editing. They have great script writing. They make, they tell stories, intricate stories in their scripts, and they take a long time writing their scripts and having little details and making funny little jokes in their scripts. And they just spend all this time and they still don't get success because they picked a crappy niche. So guys, getting this niche down and getting your positioning down, how you position yourself, makes a massive, massive difference. And if you get this one thing down, you're just going to make everything else down the line so much easier for you. Okay? So hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm out. Have a good one.